Hey, good morning to another Your Personal Health. My name is Jeff Harrison, and we're happy that you're here today. If you're just joining us and you're not familiar with this program, it is an insight having a doctor over your shoulder answering questions about your personal health, whether it's, high blood pressure or how do I find a doctor or, how come I can't get in to see my doctor? And we're so happy and we're actually blessed to have two phenomenal primary care physicians in our midst. That's Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim of Coachella Valley Direct Primary Care, located in Rancho Mirage, really doing things differently as doctors. And when I say differently, the average doctor, because of the system that has been created and they have to follow or they follow, is they see somewhere between 2,000 and 4,000 patients a caseload, which means the time they can spend with us sometimes is limited. Dr. Burson and Dr. Kim with Coachella Valley Direct Primary Healthcare have changed that. And now they spend time with you really one-on-one, telemedicine, whatever it needs to be, and really are in this ball game of health to make sure we live the best life we possibly can. It's called Your Personal Health. If you're interested in that, please, we'll have information on the show. But today, we're going to talk about, we've been talking the last couple of weeks about newborns and parents and the newborn baby and what kind of things to look for. And last week before we signed off, we said, wait a minute, sometimes if you've ever had a friend who has had a baby, or maybe you've had a baby or about to, and all of a sudden you kind of go dark, meaning all of a sudden you are not available to go out to dinner, you can't do this, you can't come over, whatever, because all of a sudden that newborn baby has consumed your life. And today we're going to talk about not just the health of your newborn, but how do you as parents remain healthy during that first 6 months to make sure that your baby is healthy, but more importantly, you and the rest of your family's healthy. So I want to welcome Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim onto the show today. Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Kim. Dr. Burris, how you doing?
Good morning. Doing good.
Hey, if I noticed right away your screenshot is so much clearer and bright. What's happening over there? Did we get a new camera crew over there, or what's going on today?
No, we just moved the location of the computer, so it is under a better
Better
light.
light.
Well, you guys always look fantastic today. You look exceptional. So we really appreciate that. Hey, the last few weeks we've been talking about the healthcare of the baby, that 0 to 6 months, and feeding, and those. Like last week, we talked about some unusual smells and sounds that they may make. This week, I really want to talk about the health of the parent, and I want to kind of liken it to how often we get in an airplane and they go through all those safety rules and they say, if the cabin were to lose pressure, that oxygen mask will come down, and before you put it on maybe your child next to you, make sure you put your mask on first, so that make sure that you're going to have plenty of oxygen to then help other people. And often we see parents who are absolutely exhausted because of so many changes of having a newborn. And today I really want to pick your brain as parents of three kiddos and in this field. What can a parent do to remain strong and healthy and not oxygen deprived for their newborn, for their family, and most importantly for themselves?
Well, actually, there are a lot of things that people can do to improve their own well-being while trying to be a parent. And probably, I think for me, one of the most important things was to lower my expectations for what I was capable of achieving in a 24-hour period. So, part of the problem with this newborn period is that there's really more that you need to get done than you have than you have time for. So, if you are trying to accomplish everything on your to-do list, there will never be enough time for you to rest or care for yourself. And sort of recognizing the fact that that's the reality and that it's just a season, you may have an easier time letting go of some of the things that normally you would want to do to sort of maintain other parts of your life. So, for instance, it is normal for people once they've had a baby, especially in that newborn period, to kind of drop out of the social scene for a while and maybe not attend the work parties or not go out to dinner with their friends as much. This is actually probably necessary, um, but it's just the season. So if you're a person who really thrives on social engagement, it's important to know that about yourself and to set aside some time each week so you do get some of that type of social interaction, but recognize that it's just, a few months where it's not going to be like it was before. But it is just the season. And if you need it, build it in, but recognize that you're not going to be able to do the same way that you did before.
So when you talk about lowering expectations, you're really sounds like you're just setting a different level of expectations, like with your friends and family, of saying, "Hey, this is the reality of things. I may not be able to come over for, Wednesday happy hour like I used to, or, be able to meet you for coffee in the mornings, because the reality is there's a newborn baby in the house, and it's going to change our schedule for it. It doesn't mean it changes our friendship. It just adjusts it, as you said. And I love the way you use that. It's just a season. It's not a permanent thing, right?
Right. And you can apply that to every area of your life, all the way from needing to simplify household tasks, from cooking to shopping to cleaning. This may be the time where you decide to get a meal service, or um, maybe one of your gifts could be somebody who, um, like for a baby shower, someone who would come in and meal prep for you for a few dinners a week or something. Like, these are ways that people can support each other that are, mostly an investment of time, but really do help. Um, Most of the time, what people need is going to vary by where they are and what phase they are in life. For some people, that would be a much more meaningful gift to have somebody come in. For other people, that may be overwhelming to them to have somebody come into their home. So you'd have to use your judgment of your personal relationship with that family. But honestly, the reality of the situation is most people's homes are not going to be showpiece worthy. Most meals are not going to be made with more than 4 ingredients. This is an excellent time for crock pots and instant pots, double cooking and freezing. Uh, Honestly, like I said, having realistic standards can help to take some of the pressure off of you when it's impossible to achieve the level of maybe functionality that you did before you had this all consuming, time sucking, and sleep depriving member of your household.
It seems like that immediately it's almost like that pressure cooker, right? It releases the pressure when your friends and your family, and even yourself, when you look in the mirror, that you've lowered the expectations. Like, you're not going to cook, 3 courses every night or 4 courses every night, or the house is not always going to be perfect. This is a reality. It's not a forever thing. As you say, it's a season. I grew up in West Texas, and West Texas was really big for football and wrestling. And, it's one of those things, whenever there was a tag team thing going on, when one partner was kind of getting worn out, they would tag in and tag out. How important is that when there are 2 parents involved, to really share that and say, "Hey, I'm tagging out. I need to take a breather. It's time for you to jump in there." How much of a role does that second parent play?
Well, I would say not even just a second parent, a second caregiver, if there isn't a second parent involved, it is a tremendous amount of physical time, mental fortitude, having a newborn and being able to just get a little bit of rest or a little bit of your own time really goes a long way. And, if there's two parents involved, it's easier, but it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a one parent thing. If you're a single person out there, a single mom or a dad, definitely, family members, friends, anyone that can come help. It really is something that keeps you sane. And when I was in residency, we used to teach an anger management course, and one of the big principles was you have to know where your own limits are and where you are on a daily basis in terms of your moods and where you are, because having a newborn or even a child makes days different. Every day this other person is at a different level, and so it changes how you interact. So if you're always at a 4 and now you're always at a 7, you don't have as much margin. So you really do have to figure out where you are and what you need to lower your emotions, whether that's changing expectations or being able to shower every day. If that's whatever it is, exercising, but scheduling those in. And that's where the other parent helps, is that when one parent is doing one thing, it gives the other parent the ability to do something. And I think it's important to do that with the sleep feed cycle as well. We did it where I was in charge from like 2 to 6 in the morning, and Krista did I think like 8 to something, and my mom every now and then came over and did some another shift, and so it was doable that way.
Yes, I would say that having another person there is very critical, and I really can't overstate that, because the ability of a human being to endlessly operate with some kind of rational thought with no sleep is limited. And some babies are going to sleep well and some babies aren't. So if you've got a baby that's not sleeping much, or not at times that are conducive to you also sleeping, then you have a very sleep deprived primary caregiver who at some point will crash and burn. I know of families where as soon as the other parent walked in the door, that parent gave them the kid and needed like an hour to go for a jog and take a shower and then just kind of have their thoughts to themselves. And then they were like ready to re-engage. I would say that's probably typical. And that's one thing, if you're the parent that's not at home primarily and there's another parent that's home primarily, when you walk through the door, it's really important to recognize that that person has been working very hard all day and is going to actually be the one who needs the break, not the person who's been working outside of the home. Whereas prior to the baby being there, often that person's expectations might be that they will come in and have a chance to transition and rest. And that's also a stressor for that person coming home. So, I mean, we had the experience of both of us being the person at home and the person at work. And I would say that for me, that was one of the harder things, was just the constant demands, whether you're the person that's working outside the home and walk in the door and have to immediately be on, or you're the person that's been on all night and all day and just really needing a break, and just counting the minutes till that person walks through the door. They're both difficult.
And it's harder because if you've decided to breastfeed, that's one less thing that the other person can do. And so now the mom who's breastfeeding, doesn't have has less time with the baby in general, because I would imagine you're feeling like, okay, I'm the nutrition, I got to do all this. And so, I would say if you can schedule even a little bit of time where it's not focused on a task, but just enjoying the newborn, I think people will feel, more of a bond rather than just, feeling like, oh, I never get to, do anything fun with this newborn is really just all work. Because even though they sit there, they can, they are forming attachments, and I think it's an important time to just,
and snuggle.
Yeah.
And there's something that people do with newborns, which many times they're not aware of. But if you ever watch someone pick up a newborn, they smell them. And this is really common. It's actually not unique to humans. Other animals do it as well. But when we get a newborn and it's ours, we spend a lot of time sort of inhaling them. And that is a really important and sort of a primal way to bond with that baby. So I know it sounds a little bit weird, but if you if you see somebody pick up a newborn, just watch them, because they almost all do it. It's kind of fun to sit and watch. But
If you're just joining us, this is Your Personal Health with Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim. We're talking about that newborn 0 to 6 month, and really today how to protect and be in good health as a parent so you can be there for your child. In the last couple of weeks, we've been talking about all the things you should do or could do to help ensure a healthy baby in that 0 to 6 month. And today we're really focusing on your health and making sure you're there for your baby. By the way, this is a live show. If you have a question or a comment, if you're finding a way to find that, keep that sanity and that energy and doing the things that Dr. Kim and Dr. Burris are suggesting, please put a comment in there and we'll be more than happy to engage there as well. Or if you watch this later, please feel free to put a question in the comments, and Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim will check on that a little bit later. As you talk about this and engaging another person, I mean, I can imagine that one of the key things to a healthy adult relationship, let's say there's two parents involved, is that person maybe is working all day. They walk in and immediately there's a tag out, there's a handoff before they're even expecting it. And they've been used to having that downtime. How important is that communication during that, before arrival, to have that conversation and really be aware of it, so it's not a bright light in the middle of the night, where you kind of lose your sense because the light comes on. How important is that conversation before the baby arrives?
Super, super important, but you don't know what it's going to be like yet. So I would say probably the most important conversation is to say, hey, sus, things are going to change. We're going to have all these things happen that we don't even know what they are yet. So let's make sure that we keep talking about how we're feeling and how we're doing. Probably the biggest mistake that you can make is not communicating how you're feeling. And then the other thing is also recognizing that how you feel is going to change, especially for the mom, as your hormones are going up and down. You may have days where you're feeling really blue and other days where you're feeling pretty happy. And recognizing again, it's a season, and that if you just keep talking about it and trying to finagle and wiggle your schedules to make sure that both people are having their needs met, and then realistically recognizing that, hey, I'm not going to have as much energy right now, so we need to make sure that we're spending time having fun together. We're spending time just relaxing. So all of the things that are important in that family unit need to continue, but there's going to be a period of adjustment to this new introduction. And so recognizing that it's a period of adjustment, and you'll weather it fine, but it's going to require ongoing talk.
And I think one of the most important ones is to be able to admit that it's a scary thing
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
that you're not going to know all the answers. And even though newborns are fragile, they're resilient. But there are times that people are going to have questions and concerns, and having a team, your pediatrician or your family medicine doctor, your in-laws, your friends, people that have had kids, all that goes into helping calm people down, because it is a scary thing, and there'll be panic moments in your newborns growing up.
I mean, I hear you guys, and I mean, you guys are a unique situation. I think of unique because you're both doctors. You both went through residency at the same time. Yes. So, and you had babies during that time. To me, it's like, how do you prepare to have a baby? Well, you should go through SEAL training, to be ready and carry those logs to the water. Is it really that bad during that season? You're not. I don't want to say bad, but it can it be that stressful during that time? Because let's face it, they're not going away.
um there are times when it does feel that bad. I would say um there were moments where I'm like, I got this. This is great. And then other times, and probably to be honest, more times than the good times, where I was like, why do people have more than one? I actually called up a few of my friends and asked them, why did you have more than one? This is like um unbelievably hard, but it is worth it. And um after a while it gets easier. And then I will say that although number 2 and 3 were hard as well, it wasn't brand new, so much about it was easier. Like, we had much more confidence, and it didn't seem as overwhelming. So I will say that if you're in the midst of it and you seem like it's just too much, hang in there, and it does get easier. And I wish somebody had said that to me, because all my friends were like, "Oh, it was awful," and I'm like, "Oh no,
Well, I think
it's
I think
easier."
that's so important. Is like as a parent, or as a couple, if you will, or an individual going through this before the baby comes. Are these conversations normal with an OBGYN?
No, most people are like, I wanna have a baby, and they're like, great, stop your protection, and then they think they're pregnant or they know they're pregnant, and then they get in contact with the.
Yeah, OBGYNs really focus on the pregnancy and delivery primarily, rather than the postpartum period of time. Even most pediatricians are usually focused primarily on the baby's health. Um,
Would a
you may
primary care
find
physician help with this?
Yes, so someone who does more of a family approach, like a family practice doctor, or I'm a med peds doctor, has comfort levels in both worlds, and so maybe can take a more holistic approach to the situation.
Yeah, I tell people it's kind of like the old school records. I know, I'm dating myself, but records, you would have like 12 songs, and maybe, four, five of them you didn't like, but you couldn't not buy the album. Kids are like that they are fun, it's a rewarding thing, but you're going to have four or five songs in there. You're like, man, not like today where you can go and you're like, I only like those songs, and you pick those songs of an album that, it's not easy like that, but that's kind of how I put the.
Wow.
Yeah, even the days, even the days when you could buy a single record, there was always
Right.
the A side and the B side, and the B side, you're like, is this the same group? Like, who sang that song? So that I like that. I like that example. That's really good. Well, I just want to say thank you. These are three really good points where it's like, hey, lower the expectations. I mean, I remember we were visiting a friend in San Diego one day, and we hadn't seen him in a while, and they had a very young child, and we said, well, let's go to lunch, and they said, well, you can take our car. And I swear I thought, I'm like, where do I sit in this car? There were toys and things. And so again, no one set my expectations. I'm like, I have on clean clothes. I don't know if I want to ride in this car. But that was the way it was, and then I think back now and I'm like, wow, had I known that, I'd have lowered my expectations and hey, you know what? That's okay. But I was expecting the pre-baby parent. And so my expectation was still up here. And I'm thinking, man, what has happened? So lowering expectations. It's okay to ask for help, right? Set up a little bit of a help system where it's even if it's the other parent, have that and the third thing is that pre-born conversation of, hey, these are the things that may happen. And if you don't have that, this is what I'd recommend. I'm going to put on the screen here Coachella Valley Direct Primary Care, because both of these doctors, this is what they specialize in. Family medicine, pediatrician, that type of things, pediatrics, and they can help have some of these conversations. And would you say, hey, it's better to have these conversations before instead of after? It's almost like when the horse is out of the barn, it's kind of hard to get it back in.
Well, you could probably avoid some of the issues and sort of set yourself up for better reactions in real time, that kind of thing, if you've done some thinking about it ahead of time.
Setting up a relationship with a pediatrician or a primary care doctor is going to be world better than Dr. Google, I promise you.
Mm-hmm. Are you now? I know we have a shortage here in the Coachella Valley of primary care physicians and pediatricians. Are you guys taking new patients right now?
Yes, absolutely. We still have some openings. And so if people are looking for this type of a doctor, we are here and able to talk to you about our practice and what it involves.
Great. And as you see on the screen, 760-642-5549, or you can go to their website, CoachellaValleyDPC.com, and find out more information. Dr. Burris, Dr. Kim, I want to thank you guys for joining us today and really kind of putting the sane back in insanity when you have children and understand what some of the things are. And it's just a reality. It's just a season, as you say. I love that. And it's not a forever thing. And things will find their normal at some point. That water will kind of start to subside a little bit. And I just want to also point out is, if you're seeing this show for the first time and you're saying, well, I don't have a baby, I don't have kids, can I still see Dr. Burris and Dr. Kim as my primary care physician? Are you guys open to that, if they're not family?
Yes, we are. We see everyone from age 0 to 100. And in between, and we can help with, whether you're single, family, kids, grandparent, all those we have all those in our practice.
And because it's a membership base now, we have during this time of year now, I'm going to date this show, but we're in the middle of December of 2021. And we're starting to see a lot of snowbirds come in who maybe they're from Minnesota or they're from the Northwest. Are those patients able to hook up with you guys for the period of time they're here so that they have a primary care physician here in the desert versus, hey, I got to go to urgent care or emergency center?
Yes, absolutely. We do offer a special program for our snowbirds. So if people find themselves in need of a doctor during part of the year, we can offer that help for them.
Fantastic. Well, once again, please get a hold of them, Coachella Valley Direct Primary Care. Dr. Burris, Dr. Kim, thank you so much. Call them at 760-642-5549 or check out the website, CoachellaValleyDPC.com. Until next week. By the way, before I let you go, one quick question. Booster shots for COVID. What's your thought on that? Should people go ahead and get the booster shot? Are we waiting? Is it available for everyone? What's the update on that?
Yes. So the data came out from South Africa actually yesterday, looking at the protectiveness for getting the Omicron variant. With 2 shots, it's only about 30% effective at preventing infection.
Wow.
It's more effective than that, most likely at preventing hospitalization, but it's only 30%. If you've had the booster, and this is specifically of Pfizer because this is the one that they were using, it improved that protection to 70%. So it goes all the way from 30 to 70 if you have the booster. So at this point in the United States, everyone, I believe, I think it's 14 and up, or is it 16? I'm not 100% sure. It might be 16 and up, is now recommended to get a booster shot. If you receive the Johnson & Johnson, then it would be recommended to get either a second shot of Johnson & Johnson or get I would recommend probably a 2 series of the mRNA vaccine, either Moderna or Pfizer.
Yeah, and just to let people know, the booster shots are at a lower quantity or doses. So if you had
only Moderna is. Pfizer's the same.
Oh, the Pfizer's the same. I thought they lowered there. Okay. Well, those Moderna people, you won't get as bad a reaction then, theoretically.
So literally now we're coming to that season where, let's face it, today for us, it's cold outside. And so it's really forcing more indoor activity. And we're going into that time where we're going to be around a lot of family members. Is this something highly recommended if you are going to be engaging in that, to mask up and then go back and, get that third shot?
Yes. Omicron is doubling every 3 days. In the South African population. In the United States, the spread is looking like it's about the same. So right now, Delta variant is still the predominant variant, but probably within 2 to 3 weeks, Omicron will become the dominant variant. And so that puts us right around, the holidays. So I would say that if you are planning to attend events over Christmas and New Year's, I would highly recommend getting your booster today if you haven't already, because you need a couple weeks for that to really get its full effect of protection for you. So it's time. If you haven't, check it out as soon as you can.
Any suggestions? I mean, is that something that at CVS or Walgreens you need to call your doctor? What's the situation on that nowadays?
If you live here in California, you can go to myturn.gov, which will help you find different places that have the shot that you're looking for in your local area. Most of the time, you'll be able to find them at many of the local pharmacies. And some of the county vaccine clinics are still running, but primarily, I think at this point, the pharmacies are doing most of the injections.
Yeah, and most of the large ones, I know Walmart, at least here where we live, will take walk-ins as well. So,
but it's important to check on that.
Yeah.
Great. So that's myturn.com or .gov?
Myturn.gov.
No, .ca.
Oh, .ca.gov. myturn.ca.gov.
Fantastic. myturn.ca or .ca.gov. Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hey, we are in that season where the temperatures are down, and let's not even have to worry about nipping the is it called Omicron? In the bud. Let's let the seed get out of the bag. Let's just squelch it right now, and let's not worry about that. Let's just keep moving forward. And in the meantime, make sure you reach out to Coachella Valley Primary Care, 760-642-5549, or check out their website, CoachellaValleyDPC.com. And we'll see you next week. Guys, please be safe out there and put a sweater on, and we'll see you next week.